Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have a interesting topic. As I always say, it's interesting. What else is it going to be? Breakup to makeup to breakup. I've talked about this before, but this is going to be a different story, a different day, and a different time. So we're going to get into this. And this is actually common. There's some people that think that this is how relationships go. They don't even realize that they're in a bit of a defective relationship, an irregular relationship, if you will, that negotiations are done with breakups. Or someone just goes, oh, I don't like this. You're a little bit annoying. Or I've had a few moments where I've thought about it and I don't really think we worked out very well. And then 2 weeks later, they call up and they go, oh, I thought about it, and actually I was wrong, and we can see each other again. And then they break up a week later. So the important thing to know about this kind of stuff is that it's going to happen again. It is a playbook. It is something this person does when they negotiate the relationship. I didn't get my way. I've had enough of you. When really the alternative is, let's talk about it. Let's talk about my problems. Let's talk about the issues. Let's work on it. If you're going to have a long-term relationship, you're going to have disagreements. You're going to get sick of each other. You're going to get pissed at each other. You're going to need space. But when someone goes straight to the, well, I've thought about we should break up. To me, in my experience, those are serious words to be taken seriously. You don't throw that around. You don't throw that around to win an argument or just to be done. And so I had a client that was a live coaching client from over a year ago, 2019. Wow, 2019 doesn't seem like that long ago.
Yeah.
It's 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
When he first wrote, I'm like, wow, that long ago? So he wrote in a private video response, which means he wrote out a long story, which is good. It was detailed. It was well written. And you get a lot out of that for $65. That it was long. My response was, I think, 30 or 40 minutes because he wrote out so much. As long as it's detailed and I can understand it, it's fine. So he wrote that we had talked, and I was thinking he has a very common name. And so I was figuring out, and I remembered him and whatnot. Totally different breakup than before. So anyways, I asked him if he didn't mind me. I'm not going to share the story. What's up, Wendy Dawn? How you doing? It's been a while, hon. I hope you're well. This is going to be a good show today. So anyways, he sent in this story. I'm not going to go through the story because it was a private video response, but how he handled it was beautiful. And I almost feel like I'm pouring it on, making a big deal out of it where you over support someone or you're like, oh yeah, you're doing great. No, this was like, I read it and I'm like, excellent. This is the way he responded to a tough situation. It was just textbook. And I don't use a textbook, but the way he responded to this whole situation. So this individual, basically, he had come out of a relationship of, I think it was 5 or 6 years. And he finally met someone new, a year later, licked his wounds, worked on himself, felt good about himself, and met someone new. And so he'd been dating this woman for almost a year, a little bit of a year plus, let's say. Everything's going really, really well. He said that this is the kind of person that he could see himself marrying. Very responsible, but the catch was she was going through a tough divorce. And so one of my immediate questions, like, what happened in the divorce? Because that's going to affect her views on your relationship. So, with marriage, there's a lot of people out there that go, we've been married 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, and we're just done. So, like, your feelings aren't so sad or upset. If someone says they're going through a nasty divorce, that means someone's pissed off. Someone got hurt. Someone's upset. And so whatever happened in that divorce, they're going to be sensitive to the next relationship. And what do I mean by that? If they've had traumatic relationships prior to you, and by the way, if you're a quote unquote good guy, you do everything right, it almost throws them off. And they're looking for things, this is too good. This is too perfect. And they'll jump to conclusions. So I'm going to get to that in a moment. Oh, we got a nice group out here today. So Wendy Dawn, Rob's already on deck. Dark Knight, Sess, always a pleasure. She says, hi, Coach, and Aleph. She said your name correctly.
Thank you.
The legend continues. The classic makeup to breakup, back to breakup. Some people repeat this process 10 times. Yes, Rob? And the interesting thing is, someone will go, well, we've been together 8 years, 9 years, and we break up, and it's like, well, do you think this is normal? You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't be breaking up. If you're together 5, 6, 7 years, you might have one breakup where you were like, you had a rocky time, someone was drinking too much, someone was neglecting you in some way, your needs, whatever, and you get back together. Someone realizes they were wrong, and you negotiate to meet halfway on the bridge. That's okay. Breaking up multiple times, and by the way, this is how it usually is. One person does the breaking up repeatedly, and the other person goes, oh, no, okay, don't do it. I'll do whatever you say. And then that person just has the cheat code, if you will, on the relationship game as far as, if I want to get my way, I'll just say I'm going to break up with this person, and hocus pocus, I get my way. And the other person's like, yeah, I can't believe it, like I did this for her, I did that for her, I did this for her, and then she wants to break up. It's like, walk away, dude. Like, quit being a doormat. So what was interesting about this story that I'm gonna summarize, because like I said, he sent this as a private video, so I'm not going to give all the details. But basically, he started dating this woman for about a year. Said the connection was great, said the chemistry was great, the intimacy was great. Had a few small things. Had a few really small things, what I would call petty. Petty means like small and unimportant, right? Petty would be like things you could work through, okay? So one of the things that I thought was interesting is he said that she was under the impression that if you're the man, you pay for everything. And she's got a child. And he goes, 80 to 90% of the time I paid for dinner or this or that, but if we got gas and she got out to pump the gas and she wanted to pay for gas, I didn't just go for my wallet. Or he's like, she went grocery shopping for her and her kid. I wouldn't just buy the groceries because we just started dating, and over time, I might take that responsibility. And I said, hey, look, a lot of women like to pay when they first start dating someone to show independence, to show that you don't have to do that for me. So he was kind of explaining himself about this idea that she was upset that he was not paying for her all the time, that he wasn't taking care of her. And I mean, if you're paying 80 or 90% of the time, that's pretty good. Those kinds of things are individually based. What do I mean by that? There's no rule to that. It's not like, oh, all men have to pay for everything. No. If each of you have a job where you can pay for things, like I said, there's a lot of women out there that if they were dating a guy, they wouldn't want you to just pay for everything because they would feel like they're going to owe you later on. They would want to pay for their gas, or they'd want to pay for groceries for themselves and their child, those kinds of things. So when he said that, I'm like, this is not something that all women would agree with, and it's not something that you're bad for. And so you get into a relationship and someone accuses you of not doing something that they don't like or they feel like is a rule of monogamous relationships, and you somehow start going, oh, I could have done this right. No, I would line up with that. And then you ask yourself, have any friends, colleagues, or past women that you've been with complained that you were a cheap ass? Then you could say, like, I've heard this before from other ones. If not, I've said this before. If I go out on a date and the woman goes, look, I want to split it, I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's fine with me. Because to me, that's her making a decision to go, I don't want you to pay for my dinner yet. I don't want you to think that I'm easy or that I owe you. I'm still getting to know you, and I want to let you know I'm independent and I take care of myself. I actually respect the hell out of that. Like down the road, that doesn't mean that if we have dinner, I'm like, I got this one. And if she says, I got this one the next time, that's fine. That's not you being cheap. That's just someone that values money in a different way and looks at things different. And then there's women and men out there that go, oh, the man always pays. That's just how it is. That's a gentleman. That's an opinion. That's an opinion. You can find people to fit those opinions however you want. So he goes through this relationship, starts out great. They had a little bit of a long distance thing, which was like a driving distance, but they'd see each other every weekend kind of thing, and so on and so on. So basically, he was all in on the fact that she had a kid. He was willing to take that on, which is difficult because, not all men are up for taking on another person's kid. He was up for it. He was spending time with the kid, and they were even talking about maybe having kids in the future. Getting married, it was so good, right? And I know this individual because we've done a live coaching together, and he's not someone to just jump into something or be love bombed or anything like that. This is a sound individual that makes pretty good decisions. So I know based on what he said, they had a good connection. He was all in. So where I'm going with this is eventually around the holiday time, around New Year's time, she broke up with him. And basically asked him to leave. She was staying at her place for an extended period of time, which could have been contributed to the fact that they only hung out on weekends, and now they hung out for like a week or 2 weeks. This is what's interesting about dynamics in relationships. If you start a relationship where you only see each other once a month, I don't suggest that, but it's possible with the dating apps and everything going on now. It's very possible. Or you start a relationship with, we see each other every other weekend for 2 years. If you start to live together, the whole relationship changes because you're like, you left piss on the toilet seat. It's like there's toothpaste on the sink. Like there's so many different things that are involved in living together that are so different that people can immediately be turned off by you and being around you so often. It's really, in a lot of ways, if to be quite frank, living together is not for everyone. And secondly, I'd say a majority of relationships would do a lot better if you saw each other 2 or 3 times a week. Because you miss each other, you appreciate each other. I think Dark Knight would agree with that. But that's not what marriage and the subculture of that says, but it would work out nice. Because really, marriage helps people combine finances too. That being said, there's some people that are married that live together that love it. I know that I've lived with a couple girlfriends, and it's been good experiences for me. So it wasn't like, oh, I hate living with them. What you have to do when you live with someone is just be compatible beyond love, lust, and romance. And that has to fit like a puzzle piece. You have to agree on chores. You have to agree on different things. So anyhow, she basically shocks him and breaks up with him pretty near the holidays. He thinks everything's great. He said like there was a couple problems with the questioning of money. There's a couple problems of the questioning of I forgot what it was. Something else that was really petty. She breaks up with him and he's like shocked. So I think I did ask him if I could share how he responded. Basically, something to the effects of this. You're not going to be happy with me. It just doesn't feel right between us. I feel there's been too many red flags in the first year for me, and 100%, and for me to not be 100% happy. Huge red flag for me because I'm like 100% happy. I mean, I like to say relationships should start really good in the honeymoon phase. It should be rose petals and wine glasses, but 100% happy. If you're with someone for a year, there's going to be moments where they piss you off or annoy you or upset you. 100% happy?
Can I jump in?
Absolutely. Aleph, bring your wisdom to the table at 23 years old and sick of it all.
Absolutely. Something I think could be possible, but it's like in water, it's not that purely of clean, right?
That's a good point, I guess. Yeah, like water's not 100% pure
Yeah. So
by the time it gets to us.
yeah. So is she living in a dream?
Well, I mean, it's been, like I said, just that kind of verbiage. That's why I'm going to say this again. Writing out your story, and when people give me quotes, words fucking count. Someone's like, oh, it's just about actions. Words don't count. No, words count. Because people are conveying to you what their expectations are and what they believe. I want you to, I want, so, and for me not to be 100% happy, like that would make me fucking cringe if I read that from a girlfriend. I'd be like,
What the
you know
fuck?
what?
Yeah.
Blow trees. You know? Like, it's just like, you're together for a year and you're in a monogamous relationship. It should be 80-20. It should be 80% good and 20%
Bad.
there's some moments. And when I say bad, it could be petty shit. You know, it could be things that just bug you, but you can get over. You know, like snoring or something like that. It's like, okay, we can do a few different things, or you know, things like that. But I didn't read the whole story for you. This guy, none of those things added up. So she wrote, I feel there's been too many red flags in the first year, and for me not to be 100% happy would be punishing myself. I know you'll understand because you did before. So this was I believe this is the second time she broke up. And this is fucking brilliant. Okay, I'm sorry to get so excited about this, but a lot of people want to know like how to reply about a situation like this. You get broken up over text. Someone just rips your heart out with, I'm not 100% happy, I'm punishing myself, I'm sorry, X. He waits 30 minutes in shock, and he writes, okay, I understand. First of all, great opening. I know it sounds simple, but there's nothing victim here or whiny or complaining. He took 30 minutes to think about this. There has been a few red flags that you've told me about many times. I want you to be 100% happy. He uses her words. Okay, I'm sorry it's come to this. We've had some good times. X. Great fucking response. Acceptance, understanding, using her exact words, which is how she feels, the 100% happy, and leave it alone. So if someone wants to go like, how do I respond? It's good. Okay, I understand. Deep down, his heart's out on the clothesline going in the wind. He's hurt. He's upset. But it's text, so he doesn't have to show that. That kind of a response will leave a woman or even a man speechless because they're like, wow, you're just okay with it? Because people, when they break up like that, they deep down, especially women, I'm sorry, women, a lot of women like this, they want you to go, oh my God, I miss you so much, or like, can we make it work? No. Not all, but a lot. So he says 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 days go by. I was angry, disappointed. So he had asked me a little bit like, was my reply good? I said it was fucking excellent. Like, you just leave it alone. What else do you say to that? So after that reply, I think it had been a few days or a week, and she had sent him another text. So this what I'm going through is like the second breakup in 2 weeks, but hope you're okay. Would you like me to send your pants to you? He had some pants left over there. Then she mentioned something about a gift. He had gotten her a spa treatment in his hometown for her Christmas present. And so she mentions like, I booked the spa treatment as a present near me. I'm still going to come down and get it done or go do that. Looking forward to it, and it was intended as a Christmas gift I could have nearly paid for. So she brings up money again. So he replies, I was planning to send you money once I was feeling less heartbroken. So when I first read that, I'm like, you said you were heartbroken? But then he writes, I've transferred the money for your spa. and fuel anyways, as always my gift to you. And so what he's doing is he's saying, that was my gift for Christmas anyways. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I cared about you. I gave you that gift. And I intended on paying for your fuel and sending you to this spa. That's showing that I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. And I got some fucking class. I didn't like that he wrote heartbroken, but you know what? It was true. He's telling the truth. That's what I respect. Here's the spa shop's details, as you can arrange when it works for you. You can throw the pants away. Thanks for asking. Great. Basically, like, I don't need you to bring pants. Give me my pants back or anything like that. I forwarded on a small Xmas gift for the her child, and he leaves it at that. She replies straight away. Ready for this, folks? I'm sorry. I hate you're feeling that way. I just cringed when I read this. I hate you're feeling that way. In other words, the way I interpret that, if I was the other individual, like, I'm not hurting. That sucks that you're hurting so bad. That's really kind of you. Are you sure about the pants? I can give them back to you when I come down there. So right there, that's like, I do want to see you again on my terms, but I won't be direct that I miss you. I won't be direct that I'm questioning things. So he replies, classic. No, bin it. You know what that means, Aleph?
No.
Like throw it in the bin, the garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Like just throw it away. Short, concise, no emotion. No, bin it. She replies, fine, with exclamation point. Why? Because she's disappointed. He's making a stand like, I accept that we broke up. I don't mind that I still gave you a Christmas gift. I'm not bitter. I'm not going to take that back. In fact, I just want to make sure you got this, and I'll pay for your fuel. First class. Nice work. Goes back into no contact. So he continued on like, I'm still hurting. I'm not sure if it was the right thing to do. It was absolutely the right thing to do. She's broken up with you twice. You've had a pretty good relationship. So he gets another message from her. Classic. Are you okay? This one makes me cringe also. You broke up with him twice. He's in love with you. You tell him you're not 100% happy. And he's talking about getting married to you, taking on responsibilities of being a stepdad, and you send him a text during the holidays that said the second time in 2 weeks to break up, I'm not 100% happy and I deserve more, kind of a thing. And you think, are you okay? Fuck off. Obviously, I'm hurt too and can't switch my feelings off like that. So now she's becoming like, I'm hurt too. Well, you made the decision. That's on you. That's what I feel. He replies. He said, I didn't reply. Then a few hours later, she said, ignoring me then? Okay, have a nice life. Highly immature.
Sorry. How old is she?
We'll just say 30s. Right?
Okay.
Right? Right? Okay, then have a nice life, right? So this is a classic case where someone breaks up and they go, I thought this person was going to chase me. I thought I meant more to them. I thought I was more special. And he's handling it like a vet on the set. And this is why it's really good when you're in this situation to send me your story or talk to me, because sometimes people just need reassurance that they're on the right track. Do you agree, Aleph?
Yeah.
Like, this guy's doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's, number one, he's not bitter. He's not being an asshole. He's taking time in between texts. He's thinking about his next action. He's actually being honest. Like, I was heartbroken, but you can still have the Christmas gift, and don't worry about sending me my pants. Do you know what I mean? Like, he gets tic-tac-toe, and I'm accepting it. What else do you want from me? Kind of a thing. And he's not doing long messages. No victimhood. When he first wrote, I've been heartbroken. That's just him being honest because he didn't go on and on about it. You're ignoring me then because he didn't respond a few hours later to "Are you okay?" Okay, bye. Have a nice life.
Scarcity is attractive. I'm trying is attractive.
Scarcity is attractive. Yep. So he says, I waited about 7 or 8 hours, replied with this. And this is what I asked him if I could share with everyone. Is everyone into this so far? Because I know you guys are having chats on the side. So this is how he responds. After she says, okay, have a nice life, because he didn't respond to "Are you okay?" This is just brilliant. If I could frame this as a breakup coach and show this to people, it was like I was in my head when I was reading. I was like, "Fuck yeah, man! I'm obviously not okay, as this isn't what I wanted, but love and respect you. So, given what you want, I don't think I deserve to be treated the way you did by kicking me out and then dumping me." Then asking for me back, and then finally dumping me over text message a few days later. Now, I don't like the word dump, but okay, if that's how he feels. But then he closes it out so fucking clean. I thought at least through everything I supported you through, loved you through, and helped you with, I deserved more, and I don't think I can trust you again. Which is true.
Yeah.
Right? 2 breakups in a short period of time, 1 through text. I know I wasn't perfect, and I made a lot of mistakes that were make or break for you. Great use of words. Make or break for you. In other words, things that you're willing to break up over, and things that I'm saying, I made a mistake, like, let's work on that. You've been through a lot. When I spoke to your sister briefly over the holiday break, she mentioned that before all the crap you went through, how fun-loving you were. I think you need time to find yourself, get back into work, and you'll find that a fun-loving person, and you'll find that fun-loving person again, and be in a happier place for you to meet someone who will give you that 100% happiness. And that's that's so beautiful that he threw in the 100% happiness, because I know he was like 100% happy. He's using what she said again. This is
like a big slap.
No, because this means conveying to her. He's conveying to her, I heard what you said in your reason. You're not 100% happy. Mm-hmm. So he writes, in a happier place, meet someone who will give you that 100% happiness and make you not feel like you're punishing yourself. He used her words to close. He writes, I'll be okay. It just will take me time. And then he writes, tell her son goodbye and to be good to her mom. And and he wrote something about some food that they made together. And it's just a great, he led with honesty, good intentions. There's no victim shit here, right? And then he goes, look, I want you to be 100% happy and not punishing yourself. That's what you claimed was the reason for the breakup. And he's like basically saying, I can't fix that. You can only fix that yourself. Brilliant. I mean, I read it and I'm like, stand up. I would be a standing ovation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to make it, because there's so many times you're like, oh, you wrote that? Okay, you already wrote it, Because so many people are right, like, I can't believe you did this to me.
What is count?
The responses are, I can't believe you did this to me. Something angry, negative, or on the opposite, like, I'll do anything you ask. I know I fucked up. I know I messed up. He doesn't do any of that. He accepts it with grace, dignity, and honesty. So I even said when I was doing the thing, I was like, do you mind if I share this in the live stream? He's like, yeah, just don't mention names.
If comparing, he's like a sword man, but with generally kind to slashing.
A sword man?
Yeah, like just generally kind to like slash it. Yeah.
I just think it. So two women, Cess and Leandra, both, because you're on the other end of this, being in a relationship where you're the woman. I just think that if she reads that, there's no way to react on that in any way negative, or here's the other thing: men do this and women do it. Pity seeking when you break up. They think it's an overcompensation when you break up to pity seek. And he doesn't pity seek at all. This is beautiful. I'll be okay. It'll just take me time. Great line. And I believe him. Like he's saying, like, yeah, I'm not happy about this. But this was like, people so many times asked me, like, what should I write? What should I say? This was great. So he said later on she tried to phone him. She was phoning to apologize as I didn't deserve it. But it's okay if I don't want to talk. Oh, thanks. Thanks so much for telling me it's okay if I don't want to talk. That's what, you know what I mean? I went back later and just said I wasn't by my phone, which I think was true. He told me later on. He writes on, I feel she wants to make herself feel better. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know whether if she calls again, I should speak to her or just wait and see if she ever texts me again. I got my point across. Hell yeah, you got your point across. It's difficult because it is how I feel, but part of me wants her and part of me is like, if she can disregard you so easily, it'll just keep happening. Yes. That was my point in this segment today. Yes. And it's so incredible that this individual could see it. And if you're out there and if you get someone that breaks up with you twice in a short period of time for the same reason, even if you go back to that person or they want you back, because to be honest with this guy, this is going to eat her up because he's so accepting, understanding, and cool about the situation. This is going to be attractive to her. And this is going to surprise her. Because she's going to realize, what a good guy that I could break up with him twice and he can still show fucking class. It's impressive. And he's right. And so now with her contacting me, I think there may be a little, but I think she still doesn't want to be with me, just want herself to feel better. I think that there's going to be patches where she wants to get back and she's going to call him up and she's going to play this game. And he's 100% right. At this point, you break up once because you're upset. You break up a second time with text with something like, I'm not 100% happy and I think I'm punishing myself. Because like I said, the words, however someone breaks up with you, the last final words or what goes back and forth, they will hold that shit. They will hold it because they're like, you're telling me that's your reason? Everyone wants to know why. Some people are very unclear on that, and they come to me for breakup coaching because they're like, I don't know what happened here. And that's when you need to really unpack it. But he basically, he was vulnerable, but he kept his balls in place. In other words, he's like, yeah, I am hurting, but I'm going to be okay. And yeah, I am. I didn't like it, but I want you to be 100% happy and not punish yourself, because that's what you said. I mean, first class. She's going to most likely chew on that and go, wow, this is a really good guy. And if she does come back, I would highly recommend that he questions doing this again, because when things get tough or something's not right or she's not 100% happy, is he going to get another text? And it might be timing because she's just in the middle of a bad divorce. It might be timing. And Leandra says, and she hates it. Yeah, because this is one of those things. It was impulsive. When someone breaks up like this or over text, it's impulsive. And I've had another client that had this recently with a woman that they were going to get married also. They were in their early 40s. And she impulsively braked up with him, claiming he was negative and they weren't compatible. But he said everything was rose petals and wine glasses. It was intense intimacy. Great, 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 great. And then she broke up with him. And then I think they talked a few more times. And then about 6-8 months later, they got back together. It was all great. It was all grand. She broke up with him again like a month and a half later. Because if you're not willing to, I don't like fight for the relationship, but negotiate some things in the front end, that individual is going to do the same things again. That's how they argue. That's how they fight. And maybe she's wounded because of her relationship from the ex before the divorce, but that's not your problem or your fault. And you don't want to be part of the wreckage. So I just wanted to really share this because I thought sometimes people send me stuff and they just want to stamp it. Like, what do you think? Am I doing the right thing? Fuck yeah, you're doing the right thing, pal. I mean, this, like I said, doesn't mean you're going to feel better in a day. And if anyone knows me and my style of advice, I'm not a 24-hour cure where like, oh yeah, do this, that, and this, and you'll just get them back tomorrow. It's like, let's sort this out so that you got a flashlight during the time through that tunnel when you're trying to find the light. Let's sort this out so that when you do heal, you're able to walk better, firmer, and in a place where you got some fucking wisdom and you're not holding some generalization where you're like, oh, all women will run away when you don't have enough money, or all women will do this. No, just this one. This guy handled this beautifully. So I have, I'm going to talk to the live stream really quick. I do have a customer story, or a client story. That's what it says on the website. I got to change that because it sounds a little bad. Customer story. If any of you want to join the Discord, it is in the notes, I believe. If you want to join Instagram, Coach Mac McCarthy, you can do that too. So before I get into this story, if you want to send in your story to writemac.com, that's available in a public video response. Seems like we got a lot of the regulars on board today. This is interesting because recently when people send me their stories, they like to title it themselves. So if you read my directions on how to write your story, it's not necessarily I'm telling you what to write. It's just some people haven't written in a long time, and so they don't even know. Writing a story is sequence. It's like this happened first. So you start with me and my husband, or me and my wife have been together for 6 years. I'm 36. She's 38. That's a good place to start. That gives me a base, and then you go to the next part.
It's like the way that your customer, that he summary his life, what happened about his breakup, and then he sent it to you so you can unpack that like on point.
Well, it has to have sequence. Sequence means what happened first, what happened second, what happened third. A lot of times when you're talking to your friends and family, you're just impulsively like, oh, and then he did this. There's no like, okay, so what happened before there? That's what's so important about the story part. So, okay, so let's get into this story because I got about 30 minutes. I can get through this in 30 minutes, I believe. So, writes, Conflicted Emotions, Politics, and Breakups. What a good title. Hey, Coach. I appreciate this opportunity to be able to share my story with you. I've been following you and Corey Wayne religiously for a while now. Well, that's a compliment. Got a lot of respect for Mr. Corey Wayne. Whenever I make a comment on some of his Instagrams, I say Mr. Wayne, which is actually similar to the great Bruce Wayne, right, from Batman.
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes. when I hear Corey Wayne.
Mr. Wayne. Aloha, Keisha. I was just thinking about you. I haven't seen you for a long time. I hope you're well, hon. I'm just starting this story. And by the way, a lot of times, such as now, I haven't read this story yet, so I might be surprised by a few things that are written. I don't review them before, so you get a fresh perspective. Okay, hey, Coach, I appreciate this opportunity to be able to share my story with you. I've been following you and Coach Corey Wayne religiously now for a while. Let me just check the time. 39 minutes? Okay. Let me write that down so I can tell this guy. Oh. Thanks. Sorry. Been following you and Corey Wayne for a while, and both of your insights have helped me become stronger and wiser. That's a damn good compliment and damn good company. I appreciate it. That being said, getting over a breakup is not easy, and thus I am here to get your take. So without further ado, here's my story. Great opening, my friend. I'm a 22-year-old college student. Well, with the writing you just done in that first paragraph, you sound a lot older than that. This guy's younger than you, Aleph, who I feel got into the dating game rather late. Says who? You're 22. You can get in the dating game at 22 and still not be late, my friend. Who's judging that, right? Just because you've seen other teenagers. Some people mature at different ages. Don't worry about it. In high school, I had a crush on this girl who was in the same grade, and we went on a couple dates. Thrifting, hey, that's a thing now, like to go to thrift shops, right? Thrift shops are like secondhand shops, Alan. Which actually, when I go back to Cali, they got secondhand stores or got a nice stuff. Hanging out at the mall, going on walks. However, I was too chicken shit to make any moves on her. Well, that's common, man. A lot of times in high school, you're very insecure. You got a low self-esteem. Not everyone, but especially you're so excited about dating a girl and you don't have a lot of experience. So give yourself a break, okay? And now that you're following Corey Wayne and myself, that'll help. After we graduated, she went on to a 4-year university, and I went to a local community college. Good for you. I did community college for like 4 years. Saved a lot of money. So when someone says they go to community college, I'm like, right on. During this time, we never talked or texted. We simply followed each other on social media, and I liked each other's posts. Cool. Sounds innocent enough. After I graduated from the community college, I ended up going to the same 4-year university as her. Was that planned? After she found out about this from a social media story I shared, she instantly contacted me and invited me over. Well, this sounds like a little movie. From that point, we slowly rekindled our relationship, and I discovered that the attraction that I had for her in high school had always been mutual. Ooh, wow. Should we just put on a little music for that? Now it's going to get better on the story. Over the course of a few weeks and a couple dates, we became exclusive and eventually were madly in love. Not in love, madly in love. Well, until you weren't, because this is a breakup, right? I previously mentioned that I felt that I was late to the dating game because I was 20 when we became exclusive. Well, just shed that snakeskin, my friend, because what's late for you is not late for someone else. I've talked to guys that are 25-year-old virgins. What's the difference if you got started now or later? All paths lead to now. I'm not judging you. This woman was my first real love, as I was hers. Great. What's even crazier is that we both took each other's virginity, which is an intimate aspect of a relationship that I could look back on fondly. Good for you. Thanks for sharing that. I'm proud of you. And it's very special to some people, and some people it's not that big a deal. In its entirety, the relationship lasted a little over a year. The first couple of months of the relationship were fucking fantastic for me. Well, dude, it's your first love. It's your first intimacy. It should be fantastic. I felt so thrilled to finally have someone special in my life. To this day, there's nobody who I've ever given so intimate with. Well, keep in mind you're 22 and you just started at 20, so you only gave 2 years to intimacy. So you got a lot of time left and you're just learning the game. We shared each other's deepest, darkest secrets, and we are very passionate about our relationship. Sounds like rose petals and wine glasses to me, my friend. So where did it all go wrong? Well, towards the end, I felt that I was starting to lose interest. Perhaps I was taking her love for granted. Well, I mean, you're asking me or you're telling me. If you're 22 years old and you're in university, whether you're a man or a woman or a young man or a young woman, you're in a university environment, so you are going to be attracted to other people at your school, right, Aleph? Mm-hmm. And you are going to question, is this the last person I'll ever be with? Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if I was single because this girl just gave me a smile? I think I could take her on a date.
A lot of good cash.
Right? I mean, that's the university atmosphere. You're in a hotbed of hookups, and you have probably mutual friends that are single and having a lot of fun. So it's very common for you to, if you were starting to lose interest, it could be losing interest because you're thinking, what would it be like to be single right now? Other than the oddball senses of humor, we really didn't have much in common. Well, that's a problem. So take a temperature read. On a scale of 1 to 10, what was your attraction? On a scale of 1 to 10, what was your connection and chemistry? On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your trust? It sounds like your chemistry and connection are low. That's important. I'd often get bored when we were together. That's a problem. We fell into a routine and things weren't exciting for me anymore. And you're saying for you, not for her. I started to get the impression that she liked me more than I liked her, and I would often tell myself, Jesus, I don't think she's the one. Newsflash, dude. At 22, I don't think most people find the one. And by the way, just play with this for a minute. Is there really only one woman out there that's meant to be for you? Or is that just a Hollywood story that you got sold a long time ago? Wouldn't it be better to think, there's a few different women out there that are special for me? Or let me put it this way. I think when you meet someone that you have a special connection with and you make your girlfriend or you make your boyfriend or you make your husband or your wife, it should be outstanding, fantastic, all right? There's certain people that you meet that you go, we just have a connection. It's you know what it is? It's effortless. You hang out and no one's trying. You just hang out. You just go out. Intimacy's good. Everything's good. And something happens in life where it no longer is, and then you break up. But this idea that, oh, she might not be the one, I don't think there is such thing as a one. Towards the very end, I was really starting to miss being single again. That's what it is. 22 years old. You got your first set of intimacy, your first piece of pie, and you're thinking, is this going to be the only one I'm with? Not, is this the one? Right, Al, if you're 23. I mean, like, even if you have a great girlfriend, and you're really happy, if you're at the university, and by the way, you probably gained a lot of confidence, the fact that you got the girl that you always wanted, and now you're thinking, is this the only one I'll be with? I'd like to spread some seed. I know that sounds really bad, but that's how humans evolved.
Well, let's just change like to catch a fish.
Although I felt this way, I didn't have the guts to break up with her for a few reasons. Firstly, I still very much cared for this girl and liked having someone to love and appreciate me. So this is about, okay, even though we fell into a routine that got stagnant for me, it was nice going to her place every night because I felt a sense of belonging, a feeling that was always been foreign to me. So she gave you security and confidence and some self-esteem. Secondly, she was having a lot of health issues. Consequently, I did everything I could for her. Well, if she is having a lot of health issues, that's something that morally and value-wise is a very tough place to be in with a breakup. You don't want to, if someone's having health issues, that's a very low time to bail on someone. So that's a conflicted thing. Driving her to medical appointments, cooking her dinner, being there for her. Well, that's what a good boyfriend does. I couldn't, in good conscience, break up with her under these circumstances. Okay, that's you, that's your morals, and if that's the way you ride, I agree with you, and I don't think you'll regret that. I personally, if I had a girlfriend and there was health concerns, I wouldn't think that was a good time to fly the coop, no. However, with the following events that ensued, I honestly feel like she brought the breakup on herself. This is interesting because I rarely get people that broke up with someone else. It's usually someone broke up with you. Remember when I said that we didn't have much in common? Well, politics was one of those things that we didn't see eye to eye, mainly towards the end. Well, if you're in America right now, that's a big, big, big deal to a lot of people. And so politics has to do with values. It has to do with your identity. And it's one of those things, some people can't agree to disagree. And this definitely could be a reason to break up. That doesn't mean that either you are correct in your politics. It just means you need to agree to disagree and move forward. Throughout my relatively young life, I've gone through many changes in terms of my political beliefs. As someone who used to be extremely liberal, I now identify mostly as a conservative. Good for you. Although I'm still in the middle on certain issues. When we first started dating, I was pretty much apolitical, and we had discussed this. I always knew she was a big lefty. Her whole family are vote blue no matter what type of people. And it never bothered me because I was always of the ilk to not let politics interfere with my friendships and relationships. That's a good way to be. So even when I started identifying more on the conservative side of things, her political differences still didn't bother me. Even though I was taking on a new political leaning a couple months before the breakup, I never felt any reason to bring this up to her because we all know how hot button of a subject politics is in this day and age. Bottom line, this is a very sensitive year for politics for a variety of reasons. I'm not going to get into it personally because that's not what my show's about. But if you and your girlfriend have starkly different beliefs and you're on opposite ends, then it's not going to work because this is a very passionate year about politics. And the more you even said I identify with it. She never asked me about who I was voting for. Shocker, it wasn't Biden. So I never felt any reason to just randomly tell her because I don't get any satisfaction from arguing. I guess you could say I just wanted to keep the peace. Here's the thing. Yeah, you shouldn't involve politics with friends, colleagues, certain family members perhaps. Your partner who you spend a lot of time with, it's probably going to come up. It's probably going to be an issue. On the night of the first presidential debate, I was at her place watching it on my laptop. I think that was the impetus for her meltdown the next day because she seemed irritated and disinterested. She went to bed early, but what's weird is the next morning, everything seemed to be fine. We were playful. She cooked me food, and I went off to go work out. We made plans to go out and eat later that evening, and when I picked her up, she totally flipped out on me, a side of her that I've never seen before. As soon as she got in my car, I could tell her body language was off. She seemed incredibly tense. When I tried to ask her what was wrong, she dramatically turned me and asked if I was a Trump supporter. I'm just laughing because you're saying dramatically, like, are you a Trump supporter? It's like, this is... I wonder if there's ever been a time in history that it's been such a big issue if you're for one person or the other person, that it involves so much other things behind it, right? Mm-hmm. Feeling already burnt out from being in this relationship, I realized that, well, first of all, tell the truth. Just tell her the truth. Feeling already burnt out about being in this relationship, I realized this was probably the end of the road. I took a deep breath, turned off my car engine, and told her the truth. Jeez, what a dramatic thing. Just say, yeah, I voted for Trump, or yeah, I follow Trump. She started to get very hysterical and was crying her eyes out. What?
No, it's like for relationship, if your attitude or your style is different, so it's hard to be with too. Like even the opinion about political.
Oh, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. If politics are a big deal to you, mm-hmm. and you guys are on opposite ends of it, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be an ongoing problem, and it's probably a reason to break up.
Because in Thailand, it does like that too.
Sure. She started to get very hysterical and was crying her eyes out. She even accused me of lying to her because when we first started dating, I told her I was apolitical, which was 100% true at the time. You don't have to explain yourself to me. I tried to stay calm and composed and explain to her that I have a right to change my political views and grow as how I see fit. You absolutely do. After more shouting and crying from her end, I said, listen, quote unquote, listen. I've always known where you stood politically, and I loved and accepted you regardless of it. If you can't do the same for me, then I think we should split. Great quote, dude. I would say that's honest. It's up front, and I agree with you. After I said that, she agreed, and I went up with her to get the few belongings I had from her room. I'll never forget the scowl on her face. Once I got my shit, and I left and drove back to my place, which wasn't far. I got a text from her asking me to come back and talk it out. There's nothing to talk about at this point, I don't think. At this point, I fully felt in my heart that we were done. I agree, and felt obligated to give her this last talk. I don't like the word obligated, but okay. When I went back to her place, she was a lot calmer and invited me in to sit on the bed. She told me that she just wanted to understand why I was going to vote for Trump, and also stated that she didn't want to break up. Again, I calmly explained certain politics that I agreed with, and every time she countered me, she'd start to get pissed off again. When she compared law enforcement and our troops to terrorists, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me, I stood up and stated that we were done. The last thing that I ever said to her was, take care of yourself, and her name. I walked out on her sitting on her bed, bawling her fucking eyes out. Bottom line is, one person can take politics like a devout religion. Another person, you know what I mean? So she's very devout to her party, and she sees it as if there's no negotiating her viewpoints, and yours are different and you have your reasons, you're done then. You can't have a relationship like this. You can't. As soon as I got back to my car, I permanently deleted all her photos together from my phone and blocked her on everything. I believe I did this because I knew I didn't want to get back together with her. Once I got back to my place, I threw all the shit that reminded me of her out of sight, out of mind, right? It sounds a bit dramatic and drastic, but actually that's you moving forward immediately. And I think that's you realizing that the way this breakup went down and why, it's not really negotiable to get back together. Because it's one thing to negotiate things such as going out with friends, or you were flirting with a girl, or you not hanging out enough. It's another thing for someone to want to switch your political beliefs, which you're dug in on. That's just something that if you start doing that now, you're just going to lose part of your soul. I wish I could say that I wasn't angry, but even though I kept my cool during our last conversation, I was royally pissed and still am to an extent. I think you're partially pissed because even if you got into this debate with someone else that wasn't your girlfriend, it still triggered some things politically that you believe strongly about, if that makes sense. I'll admit I felt like the relationship had sort of run its course before this whole debacle, but man, I did everything I could to be supportive boyfriend to her. Well, it sounds like if this didn't happen now, your breakup was inevitable. Right? It doesn't sound like this is, regardless of this political thing, which was the match that started the fire, you were going to break up down the road because she wasn't the one and you were getting bored. For her to let politics turn me into a bad guy in her eyes, well, here's where I just want to straighten you up real quick. In her eyes, she's one person, she's not the one, so what? If I called you a computer, if I said, I'm not going to say your name, if I said, hey man, you're a computer, you'd go, what? Because it's not true. If she's making you a bad guy because you voted for Trump and you don't think it's true, don't plead your case, move on, move forward, stop explaining yourself, and don't take it personal. Turning me into a bad guy in her eyes was just straight up disrespectful to me because I was there for her through thick and thin. Well, I would reframe that to she's passionate about her political beliefs. You've become more passionate about your political beliefs, and you could call it disrespectful or you could call it clarity, which means polarity. You guys are on opposite ends. Now you know, and now you know you don't want to spend any more time on this relationship because it doesn't make you feel good in any way. As aforementioned, it's now been close to 4 months with no contact. After all, I blocked her from everything. I still work out and take care of things I need to. Go for you. So I can't say this has been a debilitating experience. Perhaps I'm good at suppressing my emotions, but I haven't been able to shed a single tear over her because you're angry. This isn't a situation where you're sad. You're upset because your political beliefs were attacked, not just your love meter. I'm not saying this is trying to be a tough guy because I still feel an element of sadness in my heart for what happened. I just don't feel like I'm sad enough to cry, if that makes sense. I've had multiple breakups where I didn't cry, but I still felt sad. Everyone handles grief and sadness differently. And if you're not a crier, don't think you're bad for not crying. Because this is a relationship that you knew had to end, that you disagreed with her viewpoint, and the end of the relationship was more anger and conflict and very clear on why you ended it. It wasn't sadness. And by the way, you were already at the door looking for a way out when you were saying you're bored. Some days are definitely better than others, but I tend to think about her almost every day. Sure, until you get a replacement. I've gotten back out in the dating scene. Good. Pretty much just online dating because of COVID, and I've had 5 successful dates in the past 2 months. That's pretty good with different girls, even getting laid by one of them. Good for you. However, I haven't really clicked with any of these girls, and this lack of chemistry reminds me of what I had with my ex when things were good. Well, keep spinning plates, keep going out. It doesn't happen in a day. You're gaining a lot of wisdom and knowledge here. I would read the book The Rational Male by Rollo Tomasi, The Tactical Guide to Women by Sean Smith, and maybe No More Mr. Nice Guy, Models by Mark Manson. Read those 3 books. They'll help you a lot in the dating game. And just realize it's only been 2 months. You're not going to find a replacement right away. And embrace being single. Okay? You're not trying to replace this woman. You're trying to find someone that lines up more with you. In the meantime, have some fun. Go out. Embrace being single. Ultimately, I know that what I miss is the fantasy of my ex and not the real person. I have to remind myself of all the negative qualities that were tempting me to break up with her in the first place, let alone our meltdown at the end. Still, I can't seem to shake the fantasy of her on my mind because you haven't replaced her. Sometimes I feel like reaching out to her, but doing that seems to be equivalent of clipping my nuts off and handing them to her. I agree. If you reach out to her, it's because I guarantee it's probably because you haven't had intimacy for a while, and so that's what you really want deep down. But you don't want her to be your girlfriend again. Correct me if I'm wrong. Other times I wish she'd find a way to contact me, such as knocking on my door or sending me a letter. Totally unreasonable, I know. Well, that's you, just your ego speaking. And again, like I said, if I had to guess, you miss the intimacy the most at 22 years old. As Corey Wen says, dating is numbers game. I know that eventually someone better will come along, but damn, I hate the feeling of loneliness. So continue to date, but here's what I would say. This is a good time in your life, and a lot of people in their early 20s somehow feel like if they're alone at a cafe or they go for a walk in the park alone or go to the beach, that it's somehow not cool or, oh, I'm all alone. Embrace being alone. Do some journaling. Go for some walks on your own and figure out who you are and what you want in your life. It's okay to be alone for a little bit. It actually builds a lot of character. I should note that after the breakup, I moved back with my parents to offset the loneliness and help me heal. Okay, well, don't do that all the time as a crutch in your life. And don't have that as a long-term plan. As school is online for me, okay, that's understandable. There's no reason to move back to the city where my ex and I used to live. Well, go ahead and lick your wounds for a little bit, but have a plan, an exciting, compelling future of somewhere you want to move in the next year or 18 months. So you have a goal, because you don't want to stay at your parents' house for too long. Some people get stuck in that, and it becomes a crutch, and you don't really grow up. I don't have a problem with it if it's short term. That being said, I think I'm going to spend some time there to shake up my routine because I'm still paying for an apartment. Fuck, if you're still paying for an apartment, dude, and it's in a city, get your ass back out there at least half the time. Challenge yourself. And every time you feel like, oh, I'm lonely. No, I'm not lonely. I'm just figuring shit out. Reframe that. I have a roommate who's like a brother to me, and there's a kick-ass gym. Well, that's enough said. Even though the city certainly reminds me of my ex, just don't go to the places that you used to go to. Take different routes. Those are triggers. Seeing places we used to go, restaurants we used to eat at. Do you have to drive by those places, or can you take the long way? I think it could be healthy to stay there for a bit because there will probably be dating opportunities there than my current town. Do you think this is a good idea? Yes, especially if you have an apartment, especially if one of your best friends lives there and there's a kick-ass gym. It's been 2 months. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's going to get better and better. And embrace going on bad dates. Like, then you got a story to tell your buddy that's funny. So this is going to take a little bit of time, but like I said, read those books, Models by Mark Manson, Rational Male, Rollo Tomasi, and Tactical Guide to Women by Sean Smith. 3 great books while you're dating that'll excite you, give you some new tools to the trade, and understand women a little bit better. Anyways, I know this has been lengthy. It's all good. You wrote it well, but I needed to write everything out because breakups and emotions are complex, not in black and white. I'd love to get your take on my story. I just gave it to you. And some tips on moving forward and healing. Just gave it to you. I hope that helps. Okay, folks. 23 minutes. 16 on deck, 15 on deck, 9 likes. Thanks, folks. I appreciate it all. Let me get into the live stream a little bit. I got about 5 minutes, 7 minutes. I'm 52 and back in the dating game. It's not over till you decide it is. Hell yeah, Leandra. Good for you. Be single if can't be in a relationship. Well, what's the alternative, KKM? One-itis. Wait until he's 30. He'll look back and realize all options could have had. I'm just curious what city he's talking about. I feel like people make relationships hard by putting these abstract ideas in their mind that just doesn't allow them to appreciate what they have. What's whale or dolphin? What's that question? I think it was a figure of speech, Rob. Well, what happens is you watch enough movies, you observe what your parents do, you observe other relationships, and you go, this is how it's supposed to be. But the reality is, you can make your own rules about relationships. Oh, the Trump question. I knew that was coming. Value yourself the way you treat others. Politics are largely out of control. It shouldn't define who you feel about one another. I will say this. This was such a hotbed election with hot topics and things like that I'm not going to get into. But if you are on polar opposites of the spectrum and you're passionate about who you're supporting, it's not going to work. So everyone's got to let that go. You got to let that relationship go. That's not going to be, neither of you are going to talk the other into it. The thing about supporting Trump is his character is what people care about. Problem during segregation, Brandon Wallace hysterical and crying, as opposed to logical debate. Great point, Rob. I agree. Like, you want to talk about politics, you want to talk about policy, I'm going to tell you what I think, I want to tell you what I think. That means she's very emotionally tied to this. That's a choice, and I'm not going to judge her for being that emotionally tied to it, but at the same time, he's got to run, not walk from this relationship and go, okay, this will never work. And like I said, he hasn't admitted it, but at 22 years old, if he's been with one woman in the last 2 months, a lot of why he's going, oh, I miss her, is because of lack of intimacy. Let's just be honest. She thinks now he is stupid for voting for Trump. I suppose if he was looking for a way out, the Trump support was his ticket. I stay out of politics 100% of the time. They're all garbage. I'm not big on it either. I don't even live in America. But at the same time, if someone has a counter belief that you feel strongly about, it's going to bleed through your, like, you can't be on opposite ends of the spectrum on a very testy thing like politics and have a relationship. Rob, don't believe he knows to play the smart ticket. He allowed politics to come between them. Sabina, I don't think he allowed it. I think it happened on its own. They both are in their early 20s, and they both have developed new views that they didn't have before on politics, and they've been emotionally wrapped up in them. So I don't think it's his fault. I think they just both need to agree to disagree and move forward. He easily could have said he voted some third-party independent. No, he needed to be honest about who he's voting for and why. He doesn't need to be ashamed. He doesn't need to be ashamed. Then what are you gonna lie about that? No. This breakup had to happen regardless. This is about politics or her feelings. She's right. Well, I think her feelings are tied to the politics, which some people are that passionate about it. Let's be honest. Is he fascist so she can't be with him? This is beta, yes. I don't think this relationship was going to work anyways. He should look for Trump supporter girls and tell them a sad story how his girlfriend left him. I'm sure you'll find out. To be fair to this guy, I don't think that he was the one that wanted to have this conversation or take it to this direction. She was the one that blew up and wanted to know if he was supporting Trump and made it a big issue in the relationship and then said, let's talk about it. The thing is, I know a lot of women are so defensive about Trump supporters because they feel he projects his character into his supporters. Aren't there many layers of Trump supporters? I mean, I wouldn't know those layers. Probably you're right. Yeah, you're probably right. What's up, David? Maybe he should have defined which one he is, since I suspect most jump to the conclusion that all Trump supporters are like those crazy men who stormed the Capitol last week. Oh, I definitely don't think he's one of those. I think it sounds like he's got his reasons, and he was down to reasonably talk about it, and she wanted to have an emotional spat and accuse him of being a bad person for it. Oh, thanks, Sabina. I think it's a good stream today, too. Philip Carlson, how are you, my friend? I hope you're well, bud. David Jeffers, how's the teaching thing going? Yes, I've been very busy lately. Hope you've been well, Sabina. Keisha. Politics, religion, how to raise children. You have to be cut from the same cloth or it's not going. Yeah, I agree. I think that that's something that you can go, oh, when you're with someone, that's not something you keep separate. I agree, Keisha. And if I have friends or colleagues, I think I can dance around that a little bit more and not get so upset. Your partner, your life partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, no. Like you don't have to agree 1,000%. You don't have to agree 100%, but you should be about 80% or 70%. And if you aren't, you should be highly understandable and have adult conversations about it. I'm sure there's some people that can fuel things. What's up, man? Love your channel. Still going well. Oh, Cordell Ogan. I've seen you on before. Thanks, bro. You can be cut from the same cloth. Doesn't mean agree and have your own thoughts. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's healthy to disagree sometimes. Something that you're highly passionate about, like religion. I've had clients before. This happens a lot in India for some reason. I say for some reason because I don't live in India. But, you know, someone's Hindu and someone's Muslim, and they're talking to me on and on about how it's not going to work. The families don't agree. And I'm like, look, I don't think you're going to overcome that. Mm-hmm. And I think that even if love prevails and you're like, but we love each other, we're going to get married anyways, down the road when you have kids or you get married or shit gets bad or the individual feels guilty that they did something wrong in their religion, it's just going to cause problems. And so it helps that if you are, even if you're not in the same religion, at least you're in religions or you're in viewpoints of your religion that are flexible. And I would say that politics has gotten to a point where some people hold their political stance in the way that people held religion before. Does that make sense? Not everyone, but I think I know you know what I mean. How devout people have become. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, devout, you know, like, in other words, like, and now there's this thing where, like, people are so self-righteous about their thoughts that they just don't even listen to someone else's opinion and reasons. And it's tough.
When I heard about Keisha, I think of Drake's song.
Keisha, do you love me?
Are you riding? And I need ya.
You're funny. Hold on a sec. Nike One, always a pleasure. Agreed. You'll find many people's bios on dating apps saying no Trump supporters. And that's, you know what? Someone might go, oh, you shouldn't. No, I think that if you want to put that out there and that's something you feel strongly about, it's important to put it out there. That's who you are. It's okay to disagree on things, but some people just can't communicate effectively about things and they let feelings overtake the conversation. Yeah, it's emotion-based. But, I mean, if you're at a point where you just have to agree to disagree, like I said. There's a great, if you look up the psychiatrist Fritz Perls, Gestalt therapy, he has this line where it's like, it's okay what you think and it's okay what I think. And if we can't agree along the way, that's fine with me and that's fine with you. And a lot of people can't do that. There's a lot of things where it's like if we went to a restaurant, I said, Aleph, you really need to try this. And Aleph's like, all right, I try it. And Aleph gets like, ugh, this is gross. And then I try to tell Aleph like 1,000 times how good it tastes. And Aleph's like, it's nasty. Mm-hmm. This is what people are doing now, that they, you get into these things where it's like, it's opinions. How people have come to those opinions is something you'll never really know. You just think people are flawed because their opinion doesn't line up with you. It's dead wrong, on and on. But the reality is someone had a journey to get to that opinion that you have no clue. Counterculture is a thing. Usually extremism is a symptom of people being disconnected. Rationality goes a long way in how people view themselves politically. Wow, those are big words, man. Counterculture is a thing. Usually extremism is a symptom of people being disconnected. Rationality goes a long way in how people view themselves politically. Okay. That's deep, truth of love. How you doing, Clutch? I hope you're well, bud. How do you raise children and the parents have different beliefs? Yes, any people will always disagree in having their own thoughts. Keisha, I agree with you. I think that you can have a few different beliefs, but then the person has to be negotiable or flexible. Human beings, in doing this live coaching where I talk to people all over, a couple of days ago I talked to someone in Melbourne, I talked to someone in Texas, I talked to someone in Hong Kong in one day. That's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. That's pretty, and they were women. All three of the women were in their late 20s. Yep. And just talking, what you don't realize, everyone is so unique. Everyone tries to, I'm doing it right now. I'm generalizing by saying everyone. How people get to their beliefs and their values, you'll never know that journey. Because it was along the way, it's life experiences, it's movies, it's content, it's car accidents, it's trips to another land. There's so many different things that you can never relate to their opinion because you have no clue how they got there. And so when you look at someone, you're like, wow, I can't believe, like some people that are in radical cults or radical religions. And you're like, how did you get into that? There's a reason. Now, you might not agree with that reason, but it's the same thing when I talk to people in live coaching sessions about their breakups and their situations. And a lot of times now I get in deeper than breakups. We talk about a lot of different things. I'm getting a lot more clients that want to talk to me regularly rather than their therapist. And I'm not saying I'm a therapist or I'm better than one. I'm just a different viewpoint. I'm just a different style. And when we get into it, they're surprised about, they don't know the roots of who they are. I'm not talking about culture. I'm talking about their beliefs and the way they take action on things. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. And everyone's had some trauma in their life. And the crazy thing is, this is what's really crazy. The people that didn't have a lot of trauma have created it somehow. I'll give you one. Someone was just telling me a couple of days ago. They're in a relationship with an extremely wealthy man. When I say extremely, I mean this guy's, by what I was told, very rich, not just a little bit. Dad has a big company. He has his own secretary, and he's a spoiled brat at 30 years old. Still lives with his parents, stinking rich, highly narcissistic, everything, throws tantrums when he doesn't get his way in the relationship, has multiple girlfriends, highly selfish, but when they have deep conversations, reveals that he wants to kill himself. Reveals that his life is fucked up and his dad never loved him. Reveals that he feels useless because he never earned his job. And everyone from the outside is going, man, you're rich, right? Like, you got it all. Not really. Me working as a teacher for years, not getting a very high salary, not complaining about that. I've met some other fellow teachers, very happy people. They were teachers for 20 years, 30 years. Eat their lunch every day in the same place. By society standards in somewhere like California, it'd be like, oh, wow, you don't make any money. Very happy people. Very good to their students, very outgoing. That being said, maybe I'm missing something at their home or whatever. But how would you explain someone being happy? I don't think people that are happy run around smiling and saying nice things all the time. They just have a unique, effortless kindness. They say hi when you're passing by. They give you a soft grin. They don't look like they're disgusted. They don't lose their patience easily. People like that are content or happy with themselves because here's the kicker, folks. Everyone goes, oh, you got to be more secure. You got to be more confident. How do you get that? Whatever your work is, if you want to call it your purpose, that's a strong thing that's used now. Your career, your job. Make sure you're proud and privileged to do it. Start there. Start there. I'm proud of what I do. I'm privileged to do what I do. Yeah, you can tell I am a poli-sci major. It's 3 a.m. over here. Gotta love the weekend. Yeah, you seem like you've written a few deep papers, Clutch. Therapy can't do much there. It's more about the fact that they didn't have to contribute. To me, seems unfair. Housework doesn't make you a maid. That's borderline narcissistic when he wants to kill himself. It is, Sabina. It is actually. It's selfish to get someone's attention, in my viewpoint. And when you're looking for, some people are looking for attention. I know that sounds low. It's counterculture. It's an interesting phenomenon, but best way to deal with the conflict in society that's never talked about. Give people a reason to love, aka make them fall in love. It's more about I don't mind helping out with housework, but my ex-wife never really asked me for assistance. It's never bothered her. Maybe because she thought I'd make things worse. Well, some people are completely happy with roles in a relationship that someone else would find demeaning or something they would never do. Like, oh, I had an ex-girlfriend that she'd cook dinner and then demand that I do the dishes. And then I was like, why cook dinner? I've never been in that situation before, that there was some covert contract that you make dinner and then I clean everything up. Well, this is what me and my ex-boyfriend used to do. Okay, thanks for the memo. Newsflash, I'm not him. But I'll help you with the dishes, but I just don't like to be told this is how it's supposed to be. See how that works? Mm-hmm. If I said to her, my past girlfriend just always did the dishes. Or we ate out a lot, but never asked me to. So this is the thing we come across. All right, folks, it's been good. It's been grand. If you want to join let me give it to you right now. If you want to join the Discord, I highly recommend that because it's a good way to connect. And I'm going to post videos that I like. There's a new book that I'm going to go over that I've been raving about called Breath by James Nestor. And I just think it's beyond something for self-help. This is so interesting how important it is that we breathe correctly. It affects our headaches. It affects different things. And I've been actually playing with some of the suggestions in the book. And I'm going to make it a topic pretty soon. And on the Discord, what I'll do is I'll post an interview that and a speech that James Nestor did recently about the breathing technique. And why is this relevant to breakups? Because a lot of people are telling me they're stressed out, they have anxiety, and this actually helps. Your breathing, how you breathe. And it's something everyone can do in their room. Everyone can work on. Let me get this Discord up. I think that's the one.
You closed it live now?
Huh?
Have you closed it live?
No, I just got the Discord up.
Oh.
Doing some hard breathing there, Mac. Paper plate 478 breathing helps. I'll post some things about this book on the Discord if you guys want to join it. I'm the only girl to 3 older brothers, and I had to clean my bedroom, but my mother did it for them. But does that teach me? What does that show me about myself? Check out the Wim Hof breathing techniques. I'm aware of that too, Nike One. I'm aware of that one too. All right, folks. It's been good. It's been grand. I'll be back on deck tomorrow. I appreciate you all. Thanks for riding. I know it's late for a lot of you all. Keisha's at the end for you, Aleph. If you want to throw out, if you want to, he's just dying over that. It's so funny how people have like a simple thing to themselves. Do you want to sing the song?
Nah, thank you.
Many mothers do that mistake with boys. All right, folks, it's been good. Clutch, we got to catch up, man. I sent you an email. We'll connect at some point and talk. Then I have to date Unfunctional Male. All right, folks, it's curtains.
I did show you, right?